The world keeps evolving from the Stone Age until the current age where the technology is everywhere.
That's right, partner. That's why I love this quotation from a Greek philosopher, Heraclitus. He said that the only constant in this world is change.
Just look at our educational setup from American colonization, who introduced us to an educational system for the better.
That's the point. The classroom system did not actually change. Just visualize this. Before, we used letters to send the messages, and now we had telephones and cell phones together with the arising applications to communicate. Before, our ancestors used horses to travel, and now we use all the technology transportations such as cars, buses, trains, and etc. Before, the students were inside the classroom, and yet the educational system still used this setup.
The world is changing. So to attain the set standards needed by the world, the education needs continuously improve for the students to be prepared and be globally competitive to survive this new age.
You got it, partner. That's why we are here in EdTalk to tackle and discuss the changes happen in the classroom being a global community nowadays.
There are questions that come in our mind regarding this topic. Classroom as global community would be answered by our professor who experienced it by heart.
Our guests for today that will give us the information and enlightenment regarding to the topic are the teachers came from different schools. They also teach us in primary and in secondary schools.
A global classroom is a kind of classroom wherein all of the activities and the school materials deal with the different cultures of people around the world and not just focus on the culture that we have in a particular region or country. Whereas in the traditional classroom, it's usually focused on one culture only, which for example is in the Philippines.
We're talking about global classroom. It is a multicultural education. It means there's a lot of cultural heritage, cultural variations within the classroom. And for the natural classroom setup, it can be a group of particular culture or a person. When we say global, there's a lot. It's a combination of other cultural heritage and cultural variations.
Okay, Global Classroom, it is a global education program that engage middle school and high school students in an exploration of current world issues. No? It is to establish global education programs. For me, teaching in a multiple culture, multiple language classroom is the new reality. Global classroom engagement of students in an international affairs across the world have a meaningful intercultural exchange that activates stronger communities and citizens in a diverse global society with the help of technology. Classes are made through online. Typical classroom setup. Now, this setup allow the students, of course, to see the teacher and the chalkboard or whiteboard. It also makes easier for the teacher to hand out papers. And by this setup, there is a strong bond created by this type of setup. No? There is a direct interaction and can easily detect their individual needs.
The most important thing that a teacher must have when leading or when facilitating a global classroom is to have an open mind, because especially when dealing with different cultures, one culture may not agree with another culture, especially in practices, and also it should be respective with the norms of other cultures. So it's important that the teacher must have an open mind. And also, teachers must also make sure that the activities that they will give to their students are engaging and creative. Thus, they would realize that what they are learning inside the classroom has a bigger role when they come outside the classroom, and they will be able to apply it in real life and not just in the four corners of the classroom.
Teachers are very flexible, teachers are knowledgeable enough, but of course, in terms of global community and global classroom, teachers must possess a cultural based education. Teacher must know the cultural and heritage of a particular country, particular group of people, in order to teach them in a multicultural education. And also the language. One of the important element in teaching is the language. How can we teach if we cannot understand their language? So teacher must also possess a language-driven capacity or knowledge if he or she is teaching global community in a global classroom.
Of course, the global educator should possess these characteristics to have an effective output. Teacher should or educator should be familiar in current events globally. He or she should be aware how the world is interconnected, understand intercultural communications, and a depth understanding of diverse culture. It also includes skills like how to assess students' global competence development, how to integrate learning experiences into curriculum, and creates a classroom environment that values diversity regardless of their races, culture, beliefs, and etc.
Besides from our home, schools shape us to be kind and treat our classmates with respect while learning and having fun. Being multicultural literate is important to accept diversity, to attain unity, understanding, and peace globally.
We tend to discuss the best practices in education of a group of people, particularly Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, USA. Their best practices in educations are taught in global classroom. Also, since we are in the 21st century, it might be the content is the technological based instruction, video based instruction, game based instructions. A lot of content will be discussed in the global classroom.
Of course, the content that a global classroom must have is current issues that are happening around the world, and not just focused on what's happening inside the country or inside the region where those particular students are located. So it's so that the students will have a good grasp of what's happening not just around them, but around the Philippines and around the globe as well. And also they will not be that innocent or ignorant of what's happening around them. And also it's very much important that students must be able to express themselves in how to deal with these particular issues, and how they are going to make improvements for their future, since they are the future generations. And it's important that they will be able to show or exhibit their knowledge and their familiarity with everything that's happening around them. And again, they would be able to apply what they have learned in the four corners of the classroom outside. So they're going to apply whatever they learn inside the classroom in the outside world, which is very much important in a global classroom setup.
It's more than social studies, includes multicultural and diverse religions, politics, technology, and its application to global awareness. Considering its global awareness, the student should be taught how to build global connections, learned about cultures. This authentic form of learning cannot be found in textbook. In short, it is the foundation of global awareness that will follow them throughout of their life.
The benefit of it is it recognizes the school, the efforts of the student, the teachers, and other stakeholders globally. We are acknowledged as pioneer of global classrooms, and we recognize our cultural heritage from other countries and the other countries also. So the benefits is we have the interdisciplinarity among the countries globally.
Making a globally competitive classroom is very much important because these days the communication in and outside of the country and even all over the globe is it's just one click away. So it's very much important that students will not be confined with what we know in the past or what we have been taught when we were also students like them. So it's important that as teachers we should also be as updated so that we would be able to know what would be the most applicable to them. Teachers could make a way, if not a Skype call, they can just like show them a video clip perhaps of what's happening around the globe, and then make the students react to that and make them realize that the world doesn't revolve on the community where they're currently living.
Being globally competitive, it requires developing global competence. Students should equip specific skills to compete in a global job market, which cultivates their abilities to effectively share ideas, communicate across culture in appropriate and respectful ways. Now, for students to participate effectively in this changing world, the 21st century student will have a work for international companies, compete with people from other countries, manage employees from the other culture, and collaborate with people all over the world and solve problems.
Yes, it can be. But of course, public schools are a reality of our education setup in the Philippines. It can be global classroom and in a global community with the help of our Department of Education, the government, and other stakeholders to convert a natural classroom or public schools into global classrooms. We have a collaborative efforts of different stakeholders, agencies, in order to attain our goal to become a global classroom. This is not impossible. It might be happen in the near future, but also we have to support our public schools in attaining these objectives.
Yes, I believe even the public school setup or public classrooms can attain global classrooms because it's not just about the technology that are used. Even the materials that you will be giving to the students could also be arranged in that particular setup. Any subject, it's very much applicable and possible to integrate or to make a global classroom ready for the students.
Yes, by adding curriculum to the new generations, by discussing global issues, and encouraging them to see the world through their eyes. Of course, by opening their heart and soul on how the world intertwined. New generations need to learn to be able to engage in communications with people from a range of different culture and traditions. They start with understanding first the local cultures and respect more of what they believe in by recognizing their own identity.
Being updated in our surrounding is necessary as an edge to cope and survive on how to respond to the global needs. The reality in our educational system is to empower localization to understand things and contextualizing in our culture.
Example 1, the activities are creative, it's engaging, and it makes a student think outside the box. Next is that for example, the texts are about what's happening around the globe, or it respects other culture. It also introduces the culture that may be contradicting to what we believe in. So it gives the student a perspective or a wider perspective that not everybody all over the globe think this way.
Educators and students' engagement through global issues like participating activities in relation to global issues and problems.
In a classroom, there's a heterogeneous principles, cultures, tribes. Especially in our school, we are inclusive education. We have a Muslims, Christians, and other religions and other cultures. So it can be it cannot be global, but in a multicultural education. But then again, in implementing global classroom in community, we teach them to recognize or to respect other cultures and other principles and beliefs of other countries and other people.
It's important to create a global community in the classroom because it would make the students ready to face different challenges and different perspectives that may not be in their comfort zone. And also, it would make them globally competitive, not just because of the knowledge that they have in the world, but because of the kinds of lessons that the teachers give them. Because in a global classroom, the tests, the activities are also aligned to what is given to the other students all over the globe.
Of course, because global relevant issues are now important nowadays, students should not only confine in the four corners in the classroom. And getting out of the classroom is a must. It is a game changer of the educational system toward global change. And it will happen if they include or immerse themselves in the society and how what global learning occurs.
It is necessary in order to compete globally, not locally and globally, to compete with other countries and to recognize our efforts. And I strongly believe the Philippines can be recognized globally in terms of education, in terms of science and technology, cultural heritage. It is necessary to convert or to enhance our educational system into become a global classroom.
It's easy to someone to say that they are implementing classroom as global community.
You're right, that's why Professor Locke from the University of Calgary proposed a 4 framework to help the teachers to successfully achieve this setup.
And what are these for?
Nature inquiry, intentional integration of ICT, design and facilitation for collaboration, and intentionality of interaction. Transitioning to this concept of classroom lead to more opportunities in the future.
That's it for today's segment. We hope you learned a lot about classroom as global community.
And we also hope that it can help you a lot, not just for today, but also in the future. Thank you for watching and see you for the next segment of EdTalk.